Alright, we'll take a sample problem here. We're going to try to solve for the time something accelerates. So let's read through the question. While traveling along the highway, a driver accelerates and speeds up from 15 meters per second to 27 meters per second with an acceleration of positive 2 meters per second. How much time was the driver accelerating? So start off by identifying our knowns. We have our first one here is 15 meters per second. And that says it speeds, that's a velocity. So we have a velocity initial. And speeds up to 27 meters per second. So that will actually be our final velocity of 27 meters per second. And also we had an acceleration. Here it tells us directly that's an acceleration of positive 2 meters per second So that's everything the problem tells us what we know. Our unknown is the time. We're looking for how much time this took. So we need an equation, something to relate all of these. And so that would be our acceleration equation, where acceleration is the final velocity minus the initial velocity divided by our time. Next we'll solve it out, substitute everything in, and plus 2 meters per second equals, see, our final velocity here was 27 meters per second minus our initial, which was 15 meters per second. All of that divided by the time still. So we can take these, 27 minus 15, that's going to be 12 meters per second. So we have positive 2 meters per second equals 12 meters per second divided by the time. So with this, I kind of like to cross multiply. So we take this whole piece here times time. So I have positive 2 meters per second times the time, and then we'll cross this way. All this was really over 1, so that equals 12 meters per second. And so to finish this up then, we need to get the t by itself by dividing out the 2 meters per second. And since we did it to this side, we have to do it to this side over here. 2 meters per second. And so let me come over here. So we've got our t equals 12 divided by 2, which is going to be 6. Now we've got meters per second divided by meters per second. So those meters per seconds will cancel out, and that leaves us with, I'll write it up over here for you, 1 over seconds, and that equals seconds. So we get 6 seconds for the time it took for our car to accelerate from 15 meters per second to 27 meters per second at a rate of 2 meters per second every second.